Do you think in absolutes? Do you expect life to follow a script? Like there's one right answer, one correct path, one outcome you either win or lose? That's how most people think in absolutes. And it's a big reason why we suffer. Because when reality doesn't match that rigid image, anxiety can kick in. We feel out of control. But what if reality doesn't work like that? What if it's not a fixed outcome you uncover, but a probability field that you shape? What if reality isn't binary? Perhaps it's more like a wave. In quantum physics, everything exists as a wave, a cloud of probability until it's observed. The world doesn't pick outcomes ahead of time. It waits for collapse. And here's the kicker. Your thoughts and awareness might be the trigger. So maybe it's time to stop thinking in yes, no, success, failure, good, bad, and start thinking like a quantum system would, in probabilities. Because once you do, you'll stop fearing what could go wrong and start aligning with what's most likely to go right. Welcome back to Thinking and Being. If you like what you see today, please be sure to like and subscribe, as this will enable you to see more content from myself and others just like this. And of course, I plan to be on YouTube for the next 50 years or more, so either way, you're going to have to deal with me. And as I've said before, the videos will only get better with time. So go ahead and click all the buttons and find out. Today, I want to talk about the bridge between possibility and peace. This is the fourth video in a series about physics and consciousness, so I encourage you to go check out the previous 3 videos, which will help you understand some of the references in this video. The last few episodes have been building to this moment. We explored how consciousness might shape reality, how the game of life plays out across 3 different primary missions, and how even Freemasons and physicists seem to agree what you focus on becomes what you live. This episode is about the mechanism beneath it all, the actual language of the universe, probability. At the quantum level, everything exists as a wave, a field of potential outcomes waiting to collapse. And here at the human level, we can collapse them more skillfully by thinking less in certainty and more in possibility. Because when you think in probabilities, you don't just reduce anxiety, you begin to align with the natural structure of reality. So the first main idea I want to talk about is that reality isn't fixed. It's probabilistic. And I'll also introduce a few concepts around this. Probability thinking as reality's native language. Most of us are trained to think in binary outcomes, success or failure, right or wrong. But the universe doesn't actually work that way. In science, decision-making, and even spiritual growth, the real game is probability. It's not, will this happen? It's, what are the chances it could? And what role do I play in that? Probabilistic thinking isn't passive. It's a strategy for aligning with reality as it actually unfolds. And you can think about quantum reality as a probability field. At the quantum level, everything is a wave function, a probability distribution. Until it's observed, a particle isn't in one place. It exists across many possibilities at once. And when we observe it, the wave collapses into a single outcome. Consciousness, in this view, may not just witness reality, it selects it. And that makes you more than a spectator. You are a participant in the collapse of probabilities into lived experience. So let's think about consciousness as the collapser. Physicists still debate what causes wave function collapse, but many admit it seems to be tied to what could be known. Your awareness may be the observer that finalizes reality, which means your thoughts, your attention, and assumptions aren't just mental noise. They're tuning knobs. You don't control reality like a god, but you influence it like an algorithm by focusing on certain outcomes more than others. And Peter Senge, who is a great systems thinker, in his book, The Fifth Discipline, he describes creative tension as the force that arises between your vision of what could be and your current reality. That tension is not stress, it's energy. And if you treat both ends as probabilistic states, you stop waiting for the right conditions and start navigating possibilities. Vision is the magnetic north. Awareness of reality is your GPS. The work is staying conscious while closing the gap. Also, life is not a line, it's a distribution. Most people see life as a linear march through time, but it's more like this. At each moment, Reality branches into dozens or hundreds of possible paths, each one shaped by your actions, focus, and mindset. That's not spiritual fluff, it's statistical fact. Most things in life follow a probability curve. And just like a wave collapses into a particle, your future collapses into outcomes based on which mental paths you strengthen.
Imagine that this line represents time. Here's the present, 1985, the future, and the past. Prior to this point in time, somewhere in the past, the timeline skewed into this tangent, creating an alternate 1985. Alternate to you, me, and Einstein.
So imagine life not as a single path, but as a sequence of probability clouds. Each moment holds a field of potential. What you expect, what you prepare for, what you believe. Those are the factors that shape the direction the next moment collapses into. The more conscious you're thinking, the more skillfully you collapse those clouds into aligned realities. So let's talk about systems thinking, as we often do. Systems thinking reminds us that we're part of larger dynamic loops. No action happens in isolation, and no outcome is ever just about one input. Thinking in probabilities is how systems thinkers plan for variation. You don't control every variable, but you build resilience by modeling what could happen, not just what should happen. Consciousness becomes your internal system scanner, noticing patterns, tuning response, and anticipating collapse. So now is a good time to introduce a key concept in systems thinking called cybernetics. So unlike what many people think, cybernetics is not about robots or robotics or AI or computers. It's the original science of systems, control, and feedback. Coined in the 1940s, cybernetics studies how organisms, machines, and even societies adjust their behavior based on feedback loops. It asks, what are the inputs? What is the goal or desired state? How does the system sense and adjust to get to a desired state? In short, cybernetics is just about how systems steer themselves. And your mind is one of those systems. That's why it belongs in any conversation about consciousness, probability, and alignment. So, cybernetics is the loop that shapes your world. In cybernetics, a system observes itself through a loop. A sensor detects reality, a controller decides how to adjust, an action is taken, feedback loops the result back into awareness, and this is you every day. Your thoughts are the sensor, your beliefs are the controller, your actions change the system, and feedback trains the loop. When you think probabilistically, you stop trying to force the system and start steering with grace. So, real quick, one of the things I do in my videos is promote others' products. And of course, I'm not getting paid, but I figure it's good karma. It might be a product that really helps you or that you actually really like. And it's great practice for when this channel gets monetized, which of course is going to happen. You know how systems thinking reminds us that the inputs matter just as much as the outputs? Well, one of the easiest upgrades I've made is with my nighttime routine, specifically vitamins. I've been taking Smarty Pants gummies, and here's why I actually stuck with them. They've got zinc and selenium, which quietly support everything from immune function to mental clarity. There's a solid dose of vitamin D, which is essential for immunity and mood support, especially if you're inside a lot. And they sneak in biotin and other nutrients that help with hair and skin, which frankly feels like a system-wide bonus. Just one of those things that helps you align with the idea of designing your life like a well-run system. I'll leave a link to this product in the description below so you can check it out. Okay, back to the video. The second main idea I want to talk about is how most of us think by default and what creates unnecessary anxiety, potentially. Most people think in absolutes. Most people walk through life expecting a clear yes or no. This job will work or it won't. This relationship will last or it won't. This plan will succeed or fail. But life is a distribution, not a decision tree. And thinking in absolutes leads to rigidity, panic, and shame when things don't go as planned. You're not broken when reality surprises you. You were just working off a bad model. And you can perceive anxiety as a product of certainty addiction. Anxiety thrives in systems that seek certainty in an uncertain world. You think, what if I fail? What if I say the wrong thing? What if this is the wrong choice? But those aren't thoughts. They're assumptions of worst-case outcomes, treated like guarantees. Thinking in probabilities introduces a powerful pause. How likely is that really? And what is the upside if something goes right? Or what is the upside if I do something different for once? So thinking about cybernetic feedback as a mental health tool. Think of your consciousness as a cybernetic loop. You sense the world, you compare it to your expectations, you act or react, you get feedback. When this loop is unconscious, you repeat the same anxious patterns. But probabilistic thinking slows the loop. It invites reflection instead of panic. It gives you space to say, is this response actually aligned with reality? Or just a leftover belief collapsing the same outcome again? So let's talk about another concept, regression to the mean. In statistics, regression to the mean means this. Extremes tend to normalize over time. Highs drop, lows rise, systems self-correct. That bad week that you're spiraling about, it's statistically likely to even out. When you think in distributions, you stop mistaking an anomaly for a trend, and you give yourself the grace to keep moving.
Oh, I hate these flood pants. Hey, they're working. My feet are soaked, but my cups are bone dry. Everything's coming up Millhouse.
If something doesn't go your way, it's likely to go back to the average or the mean. So how are you thinking? Let's just do a quick check-in with you, the viewer. Take a second and ask yourself, do I usually expect the worst or the most likely? Do I treat uncertainty as danger or as possibility? Am I building my vision based on probability or on past disappointment? These aren't just thought exercises, they're how you train your system to collapse better realities. So your mind is already a simulator and you should use it intentionally. Your brain simulates futures constantly. It imagines scenarios, generates emotion, and even runs body chemistry based on imagined outcomes. But most people run that simulation on fear mode. What if you trained it to model what could go right just as vividly? Because the truth is, you're already collapsing reality from within a simulation. It might as well be one that you designed.
The evidence is irrefutable, and despite my best intentions, it turned out to be me who ruined my car/day/dream/life. The only thing I can blame other than myself is my reckless abandon. But I do know that if I'd seen someone enjoying themselves driving as much as I was just then, well, in the same way that you should treat other people the way you'd like to be treated, you should be as kind to yourself as you are to other people. So let yourself have some fun once in a while.
And the clip you just saw was from the YouTube channel called Wheelie Yellow. And I like to promote other YouTube creators' content because number one, it's good karma, and number two, they've inspired me to do what I'm doing here on YouTube, so they should get the credit that they deserve. I love this channel because it's about a little miniature yellow guy whose occupation is delivering packages in the form of radio-controlled cars, but in a quite exciting and often unabashedly chaotic way. The way he does what he does helps you accept that not everything requires perfection, and there can be excitement in things like speed, uncertainty, and risk. Each video has a theme or moral that is eloquently communicated. So please go check them out, as the messages of each video are artistically impressive as much as they are meaningful and interesting. I'll leave a link to the channel below in the description, as well as a link to one of my favorite videos about lessons in life related to the balance of being careful and having fun. And as he would say, let's go back to the video. And the third main idea I want to talk to you about is that you can use probabilistic thinking to navigate risk and shape your reality on purpose. The first thing to know is that risk isn't danger, it's distribution. We've been taught to treat risk as something to avoid, but risk is just exposure to possibility and opportunity. It includes failure, but it also includes surprising success. A 5% chance still happens 1 in 20 times. And most people never even take the shot. Probabilistic thinking doesn't mean playing it safe. It means knowing how to dance with the odds. Next, do low probability things intentionally. Most of life's magic comes from things that shouldn't have happened. A message sent that started a relationship, a job offer from a random coffee chat, a business that had no clear chance until it did. Low probability actions aren't foolish. There are doors to better timelines if you approach them with awareness and not desperation. The key is to manage risk, not eliminate it. That's where bold, aligned action lives. Next, probability thinking plus vision equals balance. Here is the real art. Number one, have a clear vision, like Peter Senge talked about in his book. Stay grounded in reality, and let probability shape your tactics, not your identity. You are not your outcomes. You are the force that chooses where to aim. You can be spiritual and statistical. You can think like a mystic and plan like a data scientist. That is the new alignment. And positivity is possibility is probability. Thinking in probabilities reduces anxiety, but it also does more than that. It encourages patience. It opens up to longer timelines. It helps you see progress that's not binary. It gives you more grace for setbacks. When you know there's still a chance, you give yourself permission to keep going. And systems thinking aspects drive resilience. When you design your life like a system, you stop overreacting to bad inputs, you build margin into your expectations, and you create optionalities instead of ultimatums. Probabilistic thinkers create feedback-aware lives, not ones built on false certainty, but on adaptive stability. You're not wrong when plans change. You're in alignment with how dynamic systems work. And last, think in possibility and act in alignment. Here's your strategy. Think in distributions, plan with flexibility, act with alignment. Let your goals exist in the top 10% of the probability curve, and then structure your life to live closer to that edge. Because life doesn't reward perfect prediction, it rewards conscious participation.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
Thanks for watching today. As there are often more than one right answer, and there's a lot of ideas out there, go ahead and comment what you think. And share with us an idea that you think we should all know about. My 3 key takeaways are: life is a distribution. Stop expecting certainty. Start navigating possibility. You collapse what you expect, so expect wisely. Think in probabilities, act in alignment. If you like what you saw today, please go ahead and like and subscribe, as it will keep this content coming your way. And it's my goal to make this content entertaining and funny, enlightening and educational, as well as a little bit nostalgic. Stay tuned, as we're going to continue to talk about other topics ranging from consciousness to psychology to philosophy to physics, as well as the intersections in between that affect your thinking and being. Until then, keep thinking and being, and do not go gentle into that good night.